What does love look like? If you had to ascribe characteristics, human characteristics, to love, or patience, or wisdom, what would they look like as people? Not necessarily people that you've seen, not necessarily exemplars of these, virtues, but in your own mind, how would you compose a person as far as physical appearance when it comes to love, patience, wisdom, acceptance, or hatred, or anger, or pain? How would these people look within your own mind? Now, as human beings, we're very much attuned to appearances of people. And if we can ascribe to certain virtues that we have, a physical appearance, a human physical appearance, what would they look like within your own mind? Now, when it comes down to the idea of your own virtues, those are ideas that are completely specific to you. But if we ascribe certain, characteristics, whether it be a beard, a mustache, facial structure, body type, to these virtues, we can allow them to interact within our own mind, allow them to exchange words, exchange dialogue in ways that can help us understand how these ideas relate to each other within our own brain. Because as human beings, we're very social animals. We tend to have our own biases when it comes to how things look and how they exchange when it comes to words, when it comes to language. If we can basically narrow down certain characteristics and basically ascribe them to different ideas within our own mind, we can allow a dialogue to happen in a visual representation within our own mind. This will help these ideas basically hit home. It's very hard to think of love and say, okay, what do you think about love? That's very hard for us to come up with. But if we can ascribe human characteristics to all of our virtues and allow them to have conversations within our own mind, then we can understand our own associations with them and how these associations affect each other when it comes to ideas, how different ideas affect each other, and how different ideas exchange with one another within our own minds. Our minds are very, very mechanical things. They come down to exchanges that we relate to purely based on external experience. But when these external experiences can be quantified, just random bits quantified into individual understandings of love, patience, wisdom, hatred, anger, acceptance, an idea of society itself, maybe a person can represent society itself in exchange with these other ideas, then we can have a complete society within our own minds that produces dialogue that will be beneficial to our own spiritual path, our own emotional path, our own psychological path. It doesn't have to be spiritual at all. It doesn't have to be purely emotional or purely psychological. But when we ascribe these characteristics and make up these people that can represent these different pieces of ideology that we hold most dear, and basically put them into an arena which they can exchange words, then we'll have a greater understanding of ourselves. We'll have a greater understanding of these ideas and how we relate to them. When it comes down to how we view ourselves as a person, this will be of great aid. We should make an entire city of ideas. We can basically ascribe certain physical appearances to these ideas, every single one, and where they would speak. Would it be in a market? Would it be in a church? Would it be in a temple? Would it be in a government building? And we can feel how these interactions affect us and decide if these interactions are appropriate, if these interactions make up a diagnosis of the world, an elaboration of our own emotion in relation to the world, an elaboration of our understanding of the world. And I would highly encourage you to make up different individuals that represent different ideas so that you can understand how you relate to the world. Because as human beings, we're very visually focused. And if you can't even see, if you're blind, then your other senses make up for that. How does a certain person smell? How does an idea smell? Would you ascribe certain ideas to differing senses in regards to smell, to taste, to sight, to feel, to touch, and to sound? How would they sound? How would these ideas sound to you? And if we can make up an entire city upon which these ideas and their ascribed attributes exchange dialogue and words, then there will be an amazing understanding of all of these things in relation to us. Never allow somebody else to tell you what an ideal person is, or what an ideal person does, or what an ideal person is like as regards to attributes. But even an ideal person, they have these different qualities, and these different qualities can be different people within our own minds. And now this isn't something that you share with somebody else necessarily. And I've written an entire book that I'm trying to get published called The Code, in which I have the city of virtue and city of failures or failings within yourself, and how these cities battle. But the first and foremost step to this is to make up these cities, to populate these cities. How are they laid out? How are these individuals composed of different attributes, and what do they do? What kind of jobs do they perform? And when they exchange between themselves and a city, and then these two cities of virtue and failings, then we have an entire community in which we can spiritually and intellectually understand ourselves and the world through. And this may seem cumbersome, trying to make up all these different people with these that represent different ideas, with these different attributes and these different cities, how they're laid out, what buildings they would converse in, and how these buildings would exchange. You can go down all the way down the spectrum into the city code or the government of individual cities. In this case, the city of virtue and the city of failings. And if they go to war, are you at war with yourself? Do these individuals have problems with one another, or are they content to live in peace? And once you make these two cityscapes within your mind, once you devise all of this and observe the exchanges that happen, not necessarily force them, but basically imagine how all of this would be carried out. Allow these cityscapes to exchange with one another in each city, and then how they would exchange to one another. And this may seem like a very strange idea, but I think that psychologically this is a very beneficial practice to try and understand how you relate to everything and your idea of all these different virtues, all these different sins, I guess you could say. And once you understand your relation to virtue and sin, all these different ones in these differing cities, then you can basically either get rid of these people in either city, or basically evolve your understanding of the different ideas that these people represent. And this is very complicated, and it's very hard to imagine in and of itself, because we're so used to everything that we do as human beings being external, being operations in relation to other people. But if we have this rich internal life, this rich internal exchange, then we can only grow as a person, as an individual, and as a soul, and push forward into greater realms of universal understanding, of cosmic acceptance, and we become people that love ourselves. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been informative. If it seems a little weird, or if you like it and it's revolutionary, either way, shoot it down in the comment section below. If you like this video at all, if you want to learn more about things like this, feel free to hit that thumbs up down there. It really helps the channel, and it'll show me that you want to hear more of the dialogues that run across these lines. And I hope to see all of you in the comment section in the future, and all of you on my videos in the future. Y'all have a great day.